Hey guys, and welcome to another digital painting tutorial where today we'll be going over how to make this simple autumn tree. This is my channel, Creatively Me with Bree, and you guessed it, I'm Bree. Hopefully by the end of this tutorial you'll have something that looks like this. Let's begin by going over our canvas information. Going into our Tool Actions button, selecting Canvas, Canvas Information. Here you'll be able to label your work as well as sign your name if you choose. Under dimensions, we are working in 3800 pixels by 5000 pixels at 300 dpi. This provides us with around 31 layers, and for our color profile, we're using the default, which is second from the top of the available color profiles. Great, now that we have that settled, let's go into our layers. On our first layer, we are going to be using the Inka brush under inking, and we will use this as the trunk of the tree. I did not use a sketch, I just freehand drew this tree trunk. However, if you would feel more comfortable creating a sketch before you begin, there is nothing wrong with that. One thing to note about the branches, they are thinner as they reach up towards the sky and thicker as they head towards the trunk of the tree. Next, we're going to add a layer by selecting the plus sign to create a layer 2. And now we will be going into Artistic. Slide from the right to the left, duplicate that layer. And now you can look at the brush in the Brush Studio. First, we want to take care of the color dynamics. We're actually going to take out all of the percentages so that everything says none, so that we don't get any color variation. We're going into dynamics next, creating a jitter in size, and if you want, you can absolutely do a jitter opacity. I chose not to for this piece, but you could if that texture looks better to you. I went back to stroke properties and I increased the jitter and I adjusted the spacing. Now we have the brush that we'll be using for the leaves. Don't be afraid to take your time in how you place and where you place your leaves. If you feel like the size jitter is not working, you can always go back in and adjust that, or you can erase any leaves that aren't working for you and just slowly build your way up. So once I'm done with the tree leaves, I'm not super pleased with it. So I end up selecting both layer 1 and 2 using the transform tool and sizing down a little, as well as bringing the tree down from the edges. I wanted to build a little bit taller on the tops of the trees and a little bit on the sides as well. Going back into our layers, we're going to add a new layer, which is now layer 3, and we're going to create a clipping mask. In our color palette, we'll be using a warm brown, and we are still using the Aurora brush that we amended to create this next layer. Be mindful to make sure that you don't entirely get rid of the black. We want that shadow there. Next, we're going to add a new layer, which is layer 4, and choose or select a lighter brown, which is basically an orange, and also build this up on top of that brown clipping mask. Similar to the last layer, we want to be sure to cover less than we did in the layer before. So we want some of that darker warm brown to show through, and we still want that black shadow to show through. So be sparing with where you place down your colors. It's also important to decide where your light source is coming from. My light source is coming from the top left of the canvas, or at least that's where I'm imagining it's coming from. Going back into our layers and heading back to layer 2, I'm going to add a layer on top of that, and this will be where we add our blue backlighting or shadow light on top of the black. Blue and orange are complementary colors, which is why I chose it, and I also wanted to add just a little bit of purple in there, just a little bit, since we have kind of a yellowish orange. I then use my smudge tool, which is on the Aurora brush that we've been using, and I just soften up and move around some of the leaves. Next, we are going to combine all those layers and then duplicate. On the one underneath, I'm still using that smudge tool and just moving around the leaves and the colors so that it fills out the tree just a little bit better. Heading back into our layers, we are going to combine those two layers and then duplicate them again. On the top layer, we are going to just move that smudge tool around. See how we like the leaves and the movement. Trying to soften it up, keep some of the shadow, but also keep the shape of the leaves prominent and noticeable. The layer that we duplicated and hid underneath this is really just in case we end up messing this one up. We don't do anything with it, but it's just for the comfort of knowing if we end up messing this up, we have our backup. Heading back into layers, I'm going to add a new layer, layer 4. I'm going to pick a very creamsicle color, and I'm going to put on the add blending mode. Staying on the Aurora brush, now I'm going to add the extreme highlights. This is where it's important that we know where our light source is so we don't overdo the lighting, because we really want the lighting to push the piece into believability. So just be mindful so that you don't overdo it. Returning to our layers, on layer 4, we bring down the opacity to about 75%. Next, on layer 1, let's make that an alpha lock. We're going to select a lighter brown, and we are also going to choose a leather wood brush, which is under artistics, and we are going to use this as bark. Those of you who have been with me for a while know that I love the leather wood brush as a form of bark for trees. And I just lighten up the color. I'm trying to get the illusion of light hitting on this side of the tree or catching on this side of the tree. Now I'm going to worry about the grass down below. I'm going to add a layer, and I'm going to move it below layer 1. It is our layer 5, and the layer 5 is going to be like our fallen leaves. I'm using black, and I'm using the Aurora brush that we amended. And I'm using that to sort of get down the shapes of leaves that have fallen on the ground. Heading back into layers, I'm going to put this layer on Alpha Lock, and I'm going to select a warm brown and start brushing in some of the texture of leaves. Go a little bit lighter, do the same. Don't want to overdo it, you just want a suggestion of leaves. Going to do nice and bright areas. Now we're going to take Alpha Lock off, add a new layer and make it a clipping mask. Put the blending mode to add, use that nice creamsicle color, and we're just going to tap in just a few leaves that are extra highlighted. And now we can combine layer 6 and 5 together. Next, we want to use the smudge tool, head on over to organic brush, twig, and on that layer 5, we're just going to smudge some of the colors up to look like grass peeking through the leaves. And now the final details. I'm going to grab the eraser, just erase any of the leaves that I don't feel look natural or are too distracting. And here is the final product. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, engage. Thank you for supporting this channel. I hope that you found the information today helpful to you, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.